Hello, hello. Welcome to Thursdays with Penny, which you might be watching back on a post on LinkedIn or on Facebook or on YouTube. And you're very welcome to be here with us. Let me explain what Thursdays with Penny is. This is where I talk to experts that I have become very close to and spent a lot of time with. And that's important to me because in my life over the last 22 years of being quite a connected person, people often come to me and say, do you know who could do this? Or do you know who could do that? And could you recommend someone? And my values around that is that I would never recommend anyone unless I truly understood their expertise and the impacts, but also the emotional drivers that people have and what sort of person they are. Because as many people know, that's really important to me. Integrity, values, deep passion and purpose around what people do. So it gives me great pleasure when I do these Thursday interviews to spend time introducing you to somebody that I've really become very close to. I could almost say I love now, and also hugely respect as an expert. And today I'm introducing you to Harry Williams. And we're going to talk about connecting communities, which is a huge thing that I love, and I absolutely love the way that Harry is spending his life focused on that and the way he works with his clients. So over this interviews, I want to sort of unwrap that with Harry and introduce you. So let me start off with explaining a little bit about Harry. So Harry is 22, an amazing, phenomenal entrepreneur who started actually aged 15 as a business owner in his own right. And I've talked a lot about that journey, and it is amazing. He started the Subset brand in 2014, age 15, and heads up this expanding operation, which is proud to count FTSE 100 companies in its client base, who work with them from broadcasting to retail, finance, and in the corporate sectors as well. So a phenomenal client base that he's retained and worked with for many, many years. And when I spend time with Harry, it's quite incredible. Whilst he can't share everything, because some things are very confidential, it's quite incredible the technological impact that he's having on these companies. He's got a wide-ranging experience, AI and cybersecurity products, fully managed IT, workstation solutions, data center designs, obviously website implementation, and what's very exciting is an architecture around broadcasting, looking at TV channel development and having several live-to-air Sky and Freeview platforms. So if that's not enough to stimulate you to listen to this phenomenal young man, then I don't know what would be. So I'm now going to say hi to Harry.
Thank you very much. You've given me the best intro I could ever have. That was amazing.
It's phenomenal spending time with Harry. I fell in love with you about a year ago now.
I know, it's coming up to a year since it was November when we first met last year, 2018 when we first met. It was mental.
And you know, clearly, Harry, you're driven and ambitious, but you're very heart-centered, and I think you know that's quite important to me.
Oh.
I see the values you have in family and friends and how important that is to you.
Definitely, no, exactly that. It's one of the main reasons I went into business was to find a way to help people without having that kind of corporate shill stuck behind me, where they're all just worrying about profit margins and shareholders. And that was really the main reason we started the whole kind of Subset brand, was to find ways to connect people, whether that was via TV or online, whether that was in person as well. It was a really, really important way just to come together and find a way to help people, and that is really what I've been about since I was young. I didn't have the best childhood, so that community aspect was really important to me, to helping me kind of get through my tough times. And I really wanted to take that into my business life, and I feel like I have now. I really feel like everything we do is positioned the way to either connect some sort of community together, and to a community.
And Enfield obviously is a really important community.
Yes.
As is, I know, your family, your mother and father, your brother, and your friends, and I love that foundation that you have, but also the way you contribute to each of those communities. So you've got this, when I first met you, I thought, seriously? Because when you talked about this group of companies, I was 54 at the time, looking at 20.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you anymore. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, what's happened? I've completely...
let me just, right, so we can edit this out, but let's.
Oh, that's useful.
Can you hear me now if I keep talking? Keep talking, keep talking. No?
We'll try just reset this. Audio settings. Say hello.
So, hi, Harry. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I don't know what. Yeah, Zoom just completely lost all audio.
All right. Well, that's all right. We'll edit all that out. So
Yeah. Where was we? Sorry.
So I'm going to go back to. So when I met you last year, well, it started off with a phone call where you were persuading me to do some stuff in Enfield with you, which I'm really thrilled I did do.
It was such a great night.
It was a great night. But when I met you, I thought, wait a minute, you've got this group of companies. You're 22, and I suppose the terrible cynical side of me thought, God, is this for real? But obviously it is for real. And I think we can't go massively into your journey
no, of course.
Conversation, but it is real. And so what this group of companies got, I sort of introduced at the beginning, what is the core focus of this group of companies for you?
So the core focus, as we were talking about earlier, was the connecting people together. So for my main brand Subset, that was connecting people via the online internet. So whether that was via a website, we do like voice over IP for phone systems to connect you to your clients via the phones. And the other part of that was definitely creating TV channels and being able to connect small niche audiences to a channel that's dedicated to them. So for example, one I can openly talk about is our Sewing Quarter launch. Sewing Quarter, there was not a brand out there that was a TV channel to help the sewing industry, come together. So we worked with Immediate Media to build a brand and a TV channel on Sky and Freeview to produce that sort of niche. And it's one of the most successful sewing brands now. It has a real tight community of around 30 to 40,000 people who watch every single day. And it's one of the best things because they had nowhere to go to watch or to talk to each other about the sewing industry, and we created this whole brand and this whole platform for them to not only just buy from but also interact with, learn how to use the equipment that's being sold, and really have this full experience. And that was really what the brands were all about, is giving communities and connecting people together and giving them that full experience. And I think that's really important.
It is. And I suppose it's just so incredible with the birth of the internet. You think we're so well connected, but in the way people have become more isolated and lonely, haven't they? And so what sounds to me like you're doing these things around niches where people have this commonality with them. Is that a big part of what you believe in? Exactly so.
So another one was the jewelry industry. We worked with a jewelry maker to produce their brand, and it was the exact same thing. There was I've kind of started learning recently that people like to feel invited into something, and that's what we tried to do with the two brands, was make them feel invited into their niche. So if they were into sewing, for example, a lot of the time they'd sit at home and just watch YouTube videos, but we kind of pulled them away from YouTube, put them in a live environment where they can call in, they can talk to the producer, they can talk to the staff, they can talk to other clients, other customers about what they're producing, what they're making, get tips and tricks. And that really, really helped people. And I saw some absolutely amazing stories about people who were just so lonely, had nothing really to do with themselves, and now they sit and watch this channel and have a whole kind of family of sewers that they come together with, which I think is absolutely amazing.
It is. I think what you've hit the nail on the head is so many people start what they would call a community, but it's actually just broadcasting, whereas you're talking about true engagement with one another.
Exactly. The broadcasting is definitely a byproduct of that. Everything we've ever done, we're not a broadcast TV company, we're not an IT company, we're about connecting people and about finding ways to connect with technology. So TV is just a very good way of doing that. We've used web streams, we've used YouTube, even Facebook. They're all really great ways of connecting people, but they're kind of just a tool to do that. It is really about the personal touch you give. Especially with Sewing Quarter, we were really focused on giving people an understanding of the presenters and make them feel very personal. One of the main presenters, John Scott, you can just add him on Facebook and have a chat with him. And he's really, really helpful. And that was really important for our brand. Carrying on from that, moving into what we did with Loving Local and Subset, everything's just about finding pieces of technology to help people improve their communication with other people and being able to connect to that bigger community.
That's where it's so unique, Harry, talking to you, because there's no doubt about it, your understanding of technology is just stratospheric. I mean, and you talk in such a holistic way, because you understand, you're not biased towards one particular platform.
No, not at all.
You can pick up the platform that's best for that audience, and that is phenomenal. But also what sits behind this is that not many technology people, and I'm not going to say all, but not many actually understand the heart side of community.
It's a really hard thing to have. Just the way technical people's brains are compared to how a business person's brain is. They're two different types of skill sets. A lot of the coders I work with are very, closed people. They don't really understand the full emotional spectrum, if you wish. Whereas a business person, because we're interacting with people all the time, we really get to understand that. And I feel I've been able to take that kind of two different parts of my brain and merge them together into some weird mush, which works really well. I really get an understanding of, okay, technology is a tool. It's not the be all and end all. It's all about the person behind that and what they're using that tool for. And it just continuing on and kind of improving that. And if it means we completely swap platforms, we've had discussions about becoming completely off TV and focusing solely on web, because more people are starting to focus on the website and it's easier for them to access. And that's fine. We don't mind completely moving away from Freeview or Sky for our channels, just to focus on where the niche is, and we can give them more tools. Web gives us access to chat systems and chat rooms and things like that, giving them more and more ways to communicate with other people in their niche. And that is, again, what we're all about.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, what you've stimulated me to think of is, how could Thomas and I start this sort of thing going on? And I've also got this thought of, I'd love to do a loose business women type scenario.
Oh, we've had the conversations.
You really excite me around it, because I know I stay fairly ahead of most people my age now. I try to be a little bit cutting edge. But technology still scares me, even after I joined the tech industry when I was 19, but it's still think, am I keeping up enough? And how do I implement this? And so what I find really interesting is that there's your clients, aren't other millennials. They're people who really need you to take them into the 21st century, aren't they?
I think that's one of the very big things, actually, is we do obviously have some young startups that we work with, and that's absolutely great. But probably 90% of our client base is all older businesses, more mature businesses who really just want to help connect their brand to other people, and find the kind of smart ways and fun ways to do that. One thing Subset and all my companies always had is a fun first approach, not just for the customer or the end user who's using it, but for us as well. We really try and find the fun way to make things happen. All of our staff and all our clients love us because we're the fun and happy guys who have always got a solution. And that's really what we're about, is just finding that solution no matter the problem.
Yeah, take the stress out of it. So Harry, if somebody wants to start really engaging, building trusted communities around them and want to talk to you, what's the best way they get in touch with you?
So I have absolutely every way. As I said, I am agnostic when it comes to platforms, but primarily I'm on Facebook. So you can contact me on Facebook, my email address as well, which I'm sure we'll have below, and as well as LinkedIn. I'm actually becoming more and more active on LinkedIn at the moment. I'm finding some really great engagement going on there, and trying to find ways to build communities in LinkedIn at the moment is a really interesting kind of pilot we're trying to achieve at the moment, finding a way to allow businesses to have that community that Facebook's got down quite well at the moment with groups, whereas LinkedIn's groups are not really as popular. So LinkedIn's a really big one for me at the moment.
That's really interesting.
Really enjoying it. And obviously they've released their live platform now, which I am, far too excited about when I can grab my hand on it. I know they've got it as beta only, so it's proving a bit difficult, but one day we'll have access.
Yeah, I'd love to work with you on that, because I agree with you. I mean, Facebook I love, but I think my tribe hangs out in Facebook, and I love it for that. But actually, I would say that I get 90% of my clients through LinkedIn. And it's so I agree with you. I'm really excited about learning from you about how to leverage that LinkedIn Live and everything when that happens.
No, definitely.
So here you are, Harry, an incredible man, and I really mean it. So you know how much I believe in you. And what sort of motivates you as a young entrepreneur, if I can say that to you without sounding patronizing?
I take the young every day of the year.
Lovely. Well, believe me, I say it just because I'm not anymore.
You're still young, you know it.
So what is it that's really driving you? What motivates you in this world of entrepreneurship?
So it was when I was younger, that there was the young people nowadays have a real struggle with the community aspect of things. There's obviously gangs and things like that, which are the other end of the spectrum. But you know, young people really just don't have a true understanding of community. And that was something I really needed when I was younger, was that friendship, that community, that nature, that nurturing, to really grow myself and get through some hard times. And once I did get through them hard times, I could really see that this was just a big struggle for people. Community is a really big part of life, but 90% of people don't have some sort of community in their life though. So it was really about just finding ways to build that community, and that was what drove me. It was just everywhere I worked, every client I started working with, they were all focusing on the technology and everything like that, and weren't focusing on actually how we're going to connect to our audience. You know, one of my first clients, it was a big discussion. They were like, we're going to go on Sky and Freeview and spend millions of pounds. And we were like, but where's your target audience? And we actually found that most of them were not on TV at all. They were, you know, more in the retail sector. They were more going into shops, or they were shopping on Amazon. So it was all about pivoting this was a massive brand into that sort of industry. And they're so glad they did. They would definitely not be where they were if they didn't. And they focus on that community now. They sell a product, and then they focus on how they can build a community around that product now. So they'll sell a mop, but then they'll have all the housewives in a little group together talking about that mop and talking about little tips and tricks for cleaning. And it's absolutely incredible. It's selling a product, but building a community around that product, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, I think it's been really interesting for you growing up in Enfield as a community itself. And I know the work you do with Loving Local to support business, and phenomenal the sort of people that you get involved in that as well. On a Saturday morning when I see your interviews and everything, it's
every Saturday for the last 6 months now. It's been without fail. It's actually one of my favorite things to do at the moment. We've interviewed, obviously with the elections going on today, we've filmed and recorded pretty much every local councillor and MP in Enfield, and I have been giving them a grilling, which is fun because I see other people interview these people and they're more focused on completely different issues to me. So I come in as a more young and I guess free spirit, I think the word I get called a lot, and come in and really ask the serious questions about how they're going to affect my future. You know, my future is very, very, very important. And the next generation is starting to come into business now. And that's going to be a really, really big change for them, how the elections go and how the politics in the UK happens. So, you know, one of my favorite things to do is interview people, especially the MPs, and really find out who's the good guys and who's just in it for a bit of fame and fortune.
So as an entrepreneur yourself, then, I mean, you're obviously really creative. That must be one of the things that drives you, this ability to connect and also be so creative about the ways you do it.
Definitely. So I can't draw to save my life, but in a creative sense, I'm a very out of the box thinker. Everything I look at, I think, right, this is the standard operating procedure for this. How can we rip it to shreds and find a new way to do it? It's what I did in the broadcast industry. You know, people were paying thousands of pounds for platforms that were so outdated. And I just looked at it, took it on its head and was like, wait, you can just use new technology now for basically nothing. And people didn't believe me. And I sold it to a few of our clients and they were like, oh my God, this is saving us thousands of pounds a month. It's actually more redundant. It's got more features. It's, you know, incredible. All for a lower cost. They couldn't believe it. And that was just because traditional broadcast was so dated. And I'm sure a lot of your viewers will know just how dated that is and how the Sky platform works and just how poorly it's managed. And that's what I enjoy, just taking things on its head and ripping it to shreds and going, nah, we won't do it like that. We'll do it like this.
Yeah, a true problem solver. And as I said,
definitely,
you know, this ability for you to swing between understanding the business KPIs, the needs of the business, and the technology that can match the two, it is phenomenal. But I've really enjoyed this, Harry. It's
been
a
an
great
absolute pleasure.
conversation with you. I'm going to ask you another question now. So you've obviously, you made a decision to join our mastermind group. And when you did that, you know, we spent a lot of time together talking about this, because I said to you, the majority of people that come in are sort of 40 plus. And I was, you know, I just was worried that you would get the value from it. I knew the value you would give into the group would be great, but I didn't know what value you would get from it. So how is that experience going for you?
Oh, it's been, so for me, I've been all about connecting communities, but I've never tend to get involved in the community. It's actually a very kind of backwards part of my life. I'm always too busy connecting other people to kind of have that time to involve myself in a community. And that was why I said I really wanted to be involved, was to have that community. And it's been amazing, you know, coming together once a month, just being able to kind of offload first of all, and have people who've been way more experienced than me, who have had way much life experience than me, just being able to offload to them and then them say, Harry, this is completely normal, don't even worry about it, you know, it happens, it's fine. That's incredible, because I have to put a very big front on to focus on the community. You know, I'm the connector, I'm the one who has to be the strong one in the community to keep the link going, and just being able to not be that strongest link for once, and being able to come in and just learn something else and learn other new things as well, which is incredible. Like I said, I'm focused on the tech and business side, but coming into this business is personal, and focusing on you know, yourself and your inner happiness is something that you kind of forget in business. Is really important, and that's probably been the thing I've mostly taken away from this, is, you know, you've really got to have that support structure around you, not just giving everyone else a support structure.
Yeah, I think that's beautifully put. What I think has been fascinating for all of us is seeing that when everybody starts this, we all have our identity, you know, the way that we want to be identified as a person. And then we have our truth, you know.
It slowly starts, yeah.
And that starts to, when you close that gap, I think that's when life starts to really feel great.
You feel yourself again. You
Yeah.
feel you don't have to come in and put on a front to be the big man in the room. You actually realize there's nothing wrong with just being the calm, collected person who you can sit and talk to and all work together. And that's what I love about it. It's the community aspect, which is such an important part of my brand. As soon as I saw what you were doing, I was like, I want a piece of this. I really want to be involved. And it's been absolutely lovely. All the people there are so amazing. I'm so lucky to be part of the first mastermind as well. You know, we're the original OGs. You know, we're really, really happy, and everyone there's so lovely. And you and Thomas just support us so much. It's incredible. And all the things that have been going on in my life at the moment, you've been so active and really trying to ensure that I've got the support, which I appreciate so much.
Oh, that is lovely. So I tell you what, Harry, I know you've heard me say this, but I want to repeat it here today, that I remember on the first day when we came together and we'd spent a morning and people have been telling their stories and talking about what their definition of success would be. And we stepped out and we walked off to the restaurant to have some lunch together. And you said, why is everybody limiting themselves so much? And I said, wow, really? And he said, well, I feel they could be more ambitious than they're being. These are really skilled people. And you really jolted us all, because you didn't have any of the limiting beliefs that life can end up giving us as people.
So when I was young, my whole life was limiting beliefs. Like from the age till about 15, that was my entire life. It was focusing on the negative side of my life and focusing on the bad things, the things I couldn't do rather than things I can do. And through many different reasons, I've changed the outlook on life, and I ran with it. I believe that anything and everything I do, I will be the best of my ability. And whether I build a massive brand or a medium-sized brand, it doesn't matter to me, because it's all about how I feel inside now. And that's what makes me drive my success. It's no limits, no nothing. Maybe tomorrow I'll start a mechanics up, who knows? If I want to, I want to. I don't know yet. And that's what it's about. It's having that just can do it attitude, and I don't care, let's just run with it attitude as well. And that's and people are starting to get that in the group. You know, there's quite a few people in the group who came in with, I just want to double my turnover, and now they're like, actually I want to completely rebrand and focus on this. I realize I'm not actually happy in this side of my life. That's why I'm limiting myself. I'm actually going to focus on this part, and now I'm making 10 times as much money as I was last year. And that's really, really incredible.
Yeah, that's good. That's a beautiful way to end, Harry. And thank you for everything you contribute. And
my absolute pleasure.
I know how busy you are at the moment. You're putting out a lot of things, fires and lighting other fires, and and having a great time in your business, and a huge respect to you, Harry. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.